Welcome, fight fans, to episode 8 of the Hooks In MMA podcast. On tonight's episode, we're going to be breaking down UFC Vegas 5, Derek Brunson's big underdog win, and also analyzing this week's Dana White Contender Series matches. We do have a special episode with 3 guests this week. First up, we've got TJ the Truth Laramie, who's a featherweight fighting in Dana White's Contender Series. Next, we have Aaron Jeffery, a middleweight who's in SFT 23, the standout fighting tournament upcoming. And finally, but certainly not least, we have Jasmine Jasudavicius, strawweight, 4-0 undefeated women's fighter out of St. Catharines, Ontario, who has an upcoming bout in the Cage Fury Fighting Championships. And then, of course, we can't leave you hanging. We got to give you those expert tips here to beat the book. UFC Vegas 6 this Saturday night in the Apex. We've got Derek Lewis, the number 4 heavyweight fighter, fighting Alexei Oleinik, number 10 ranked heavyweight. And we've got some inside scoops to provide to all of our fans and listeners. So let's jump into hot headline news. Starting things off is Adam Davidson.
Thanks, Ben. There's been some talk recently about McGregor. Dana White made a comment that he doesn't think he'll be fighting in 2020. He said that as far as he knows, Conor is retired. Do you guys think this is legit, or is UFC maybe waiting for a live gate to have Conor make his big debut back in the octagon?
Yeah, no, it's been really interesting with the pandemic situation and how they're handling Conor McGregor and the UFC and the marketing and whatnot. Is it really worth it to keep him on the bench basically, right? And not making that type of revenue that he makes, that he brings, the type of publicity and everything. I think it's worth it in my opinion in terms of pay-per-view. Yes, you're going to miss on that live gate revenue, but they need to stay relevant. Although, they are staying relevant just being active, but moving forward, we have football coming, we got basketball, hockey, all that stuff back now. It's not going away. Even they have positive tests, right? Especially MLB, and they're still going. So, I think they just gotta stick with what they have in Conor, and set up a fight for him. I think it's the opportunity cost of not letting him fight. He doesn't have very more. He's 30 years old, I believe, 31 maybe. Only 5-6 years good and left in him right now. So take advantage of it now, I say.
Yeah, I think they don't want to miss the boat though. Like his 3 options right now are Diaz, Masvidal, or Ferguson, basically. All 3 of them are killers, could easily hand them another loss, and then he's not nearly as marketable. But I agree with what you're saying, Ben. Most of the revenue they're making is going to be from his pay-per-view buys, selling over $1 million. If he fights Masvidal or Diaz again, that's probably going to be $1.5 million. Like the live gate's a drop in the bucket compared to that.
Yeah, and I'm on the same boat as you guys. I mean, the amount he brings in, it doesn't make sense to put him out there right now with no fans. Yeah, they gain pay-per-view revenue, but it doesn't make sense in 2020. It's basically closing the book on that. It's basically making the fans and people like us, wonder what he's going to do next. I know he tweeted out the other day, Filipino to Pacquiao, maybe potentially that could be his next fight. Like he fights Mayweather and makes a ton of money off that. Why not go after somebody that Mayweather beat, but somebody that's got one of the biggest names in the boxing world? Why not test your skills with a second boxing match that you could also make tons of million off that as well? Is he just teasing? Maybe. Is he retired for now? He will be back. He'll either fight Pacquiao or somebody like that, or he will fight Khabib maybe in a rematch, or he will fight Diaz for the 3rd time. Those are my 3 guesses.
No Masvidal?
Maybe in a couple of years. I don't think that's like a fight next. Like Masvidal just came off losing, and Conor just came off of beating Cerrone. I mean, does it make sense? If Conor was sticking around long term, it makes sense because that's a great fight, and whoever wins could maybe get the title shot after. But it could just be a one-off fight, which I think the Conor fights with Diaz were to generate money. So it's a possibility, but I think it's the other three. I think it's Pacquiao. I think it's a Khabib rematch or a Nate Diaz third fight.
Yeah, I disagree with you a little bit about the Masvidal thing. I think if either of them lose, the desire for that fight kind of goes away. Like if Masvidal loses again, or if Diaz was to come out and beat Conor, they fought again, I think the desire for that BMF title goes away.
Anything but another boxing match is all I ask for. Oh, won't be ordering that pay-per-view, I tell you. What do you guys think of Khabib calling out GSP as a potential fight? I heard the nose Ariel Hawani he talked to GSP, and he said that GSP started doing calculations in his head how far away that would be, what his weight needs to be, like he was legitimately thinking about it. What do you guys think? Do you guys think Khabib would beat GSP, or do you guys think that GSP would do as he normally does and ends up dominating?
I think it'd be a tight fight. I think Khabib eventually gets GSP down and holds him down maybe in the later rounds, but I think for the first at least 3 rounds, GSP is going to keep it standing and point fight, and I think he could win that fight that way.
I like that that Ariel even posed this. That means that it's out there and that it's floating. My prediction a couple weeks ago was Khabib comes back, and I think he finishes Gaethje. I actually, Gaethje poses a lot of problems, but Khabib, after his dad passing away, comes back, I think, and wins in the first 3 rounds. I really do. Khabib then is 29-0, and in early 2021, a GSP fight for the greatest of all time, that's what it would be, happens. I still believe that. What do I think happens in the fight if it does happen? Again, GSP is the smartest and the most tactical and the most intricate fighter of all time. He literally studies night and day who he's going to fight. I honestly can't go against GSP. He's 39, but Khabib is, he'll be 29-0 if he beats Gaethje. I mean, a fantastic fight, one of the greatest fights of all time. A little side note though, Ali Abdelaziz said the other day, Usman Nurmagomedov is way better than Khabib Nurmagomedov. So watch out for this guy's name. Undefeated as well. Says he has way more killer instinct skills than Khabib does. I don't want to knock a GSP Khabib fight because we all want that, but watch out for Usman Nurmagomedov as well.
We'll see about that. I think Ali's looking that he's going to be losing his top earner coming up here soon, early next year.
That guy talks so much shit. Like, it's unbelievable.
Yeah, I agree. But I mean, after watching some of the fights, even though he hasn't fought quality opponents compared to the UFC, like, guy does look like he does have a lot of skill. So we'll see what happens.
He's a striker though, mostly, isn't he?
Yeah, he's good everywhere, but more of a striker than Khabib. Yeah.
You want to pause it for a sec? Will be an interesting fight for sure. Hopefully, the MMA gods come together and make that fight happen. Z-Balls, you were mentioning early in the group about the ESPN numbers. You want to touch on that a little bit?
Yeah, so I was reading online there that the ESPN Plus currently has 8.5 million subscribers as of June 27th. Previously reported was at 7.6 million in February earlier this year, and 3.5 million back in November last year. So that kind of shows a little bit perhaps the Conor effect there we were actually talking about earlier, with the 3.5 million in November. Of course, he fought Cowboy in late January 20th, I think it was, or something. A month later, all of a sudden, their subscribers have doubled. Is that all due to Conor, UFC? I don't think so. I don't know totally enough on that ESPN app exactly what they have on there, but I imagine they have many other things. So there is a little bit there of Conor. How much? Who knows? But it's really been impressive in terms of UFC's numbers, what they've done overall. And even though there's been some reviews online again of people in the United States that have used it seems to be a bit buggy, things like that. But hey, they're still going to it. People want to watch UFC. Obviously, they like MMA. We got the fans, so they've really kind of proven that with these numbers here on the app.
Yeah, you gotta think too. UFC is one of these companies that are actually benefiting from COVID, because they're one of the first sports to come back and put on live events. So I think a lot more eyes are on the sport, which is great for the long run.
Yeah, and something kind of on the business side I was reading today. So Disney owns ESPN, right? They had their Q2 results, huge losses, as we could all imagine. Their only bright spot was Disney Plus, their streaming channel. And I feel like there's going to be a ton of investment in ESPN Plus, these streaming platforms moving forward. So this could be the kind of silver lining, kind of to your point, Dave, son, about COVID and kind of the shift to folks now streaming stuff on demand versus, waiting for it on prime time or certain nights of the week. So yeah, it should be interesting how UFC leverages this moving forward and really capitalizes on it.
Yeah, I agree, Kronz. And for anybody listening to this, you can guarantee that every Friday you're going to have a Hooks in MMA podcast, so you can be ready to listen to that.
Yep.
On that note, maybe we should move on to easy lines for this week's card.
Yeah, sure. I'll jump in there now. I mean, to start it off, a fight night in the Apex Center, Nevada, Las Vegas, Nevada. Main event is Derek Lewis. He's a minus 225 against Alexei Oleinik, plus 187. Derek Lewis, he's coming off 2 decision wins over Ilir Latifi and Blagov Ivanov. Previous to that, he lost 2 fights by finish against Junior Dos Santos and Daniel Cormier. Alexei just beat Verdun back in May, which I do remember Zohan and Son saying it was a horrible fight, one of the worst ever. Verdun came in, really out of shape, really sluggish. The entire fight was kind of sloppy grappling. Lewis himself looks very much in shape, just from his social media. He's looking very fit these days. It's a good matchup, but the key will be Alexei. Will he be able to get into a lot of grappling sequences and perhaps even to the ground? I certainly do think he has a chance, but Lewis looks in shape, ready to fight. He's fought excellent competition. Oleinik has as well in the past, but he always loses to them. So I do believe Lewis is kind of that level above on Saturday. He's going to prove that. Parlay Lewis with some other options. But, I also do think the over 1.5 rounds minus 125, I think is a nice bet as well. Lewis is going to take a measured approach with 5 rounds, I do believe. Oleinik is a tough guy. He's not going to go down without a hard fight. But I also don't really believe Lewis is going to let Alexei get a hold of him early in the fight. So it's going to go at least to the end of the second round. So, what are you guys thinking?
Yeah, I agree with you on Lewis there. If you look at his fight history, almost all of his fights end up finishing in the 3rd round or second round. It's definitely going to go past round 1. You never know what kind of Derek Lewis you're going to get. I know he's had some back issues and his cardio hasn't been the best, but if he comes healthy and ready to fight, I think he's got 30 pounds on Oleinik. I think he's just too big and too strong if he shows up healthy.
Yeah, I could just see him shucking Oleinik off. He's strong. DC is basically the only person that's been able to take him down, and DC takes everybody down. So yeah, I don't see Oleinik. It's not like he's a physical specimen or a crazy athletic guy. He kind of just grinds and eventually drags somebody to the ground. I don't think you're dragging Lewis to the ground anytime soon.
No.
Yeah, I agree with all you guys. The only thing I'd say is last fight against Verdun, I've never actually seen Oleinik that aggressive in a fight. So he actually was moving forward and running right at them. Whether that means Lewis can catch him on a counter coming in. I agree, though. He's not taking Lewis down. I just think Oleinik in his last fight showed me something I hadn't seen in a long time. Does he do that again? I don't know. I don't know why he did that against Purdue. Maybe he saw that in training or something, or his coaches did. But I definitely agree that this fight goes later on. So I don't have a bet for this other than I agree with Z-Ball. It's going to go longer than 1.5 rounds for sure.
Yeah, I agree with that. Looking at the odds now, guys, I'm liking the over 2.5 rounds. You're getting close to 3-1 to your money. That's great value. And I think that first round's going to be feeling each other out. Could be some grappling, kind of slow. And this is poised to be kind of a third, fourth round finish. So if you're even looking at the round betting, fourth round stoppage, Derek Lewis, 15-1 odds. That's some pretty good value. So that's what I'll be eyeing this weekend. And hoping it gets over that 2.5 round mark.
You just scheduled my Saturday night, Kronz. Fourth round.
I hope Lewis is able to land one of those flying kicks that he likes to throw. I feel like Oleinik is just low enough level competition that he could land that and knock him out with it.
He could. It comes up pretty quick too. More deceiving.
It does. It's just so funny to see him throw it.
Yeah.
Once the other guy's tired out, that could be fourth round stoppage. All right, moving on. Z-Ball, who do you got next here on the Easy Line lock of the weekend?
Well, I wouldn't say lock in this one because it's a pretty tight fight. Chris Weidman -138 and Omari Akhmedov. I don't know if I'm saying that right. +110.
That's pretty good.
Yeah, I'll take it.
Better than most.
Yeah, exactly. That's the one thing with being an MMA fan, right? Is that they have the craziest names.
Craziest.
But anyways, Weidman lost his last two fights to Dominic Reyes and Jeffery Souza. He beat by Gaslam by finish his previous fight to that. Amari is on a 5-fight win streak. Wins over Ian Heinisch and Zach Cummings. Every single one is by decision, though, these wins. This is a very tight fight. Amari looks like a very dangerous, grappler from Dagestani, as we've seen before. All these Russian guys are very, very tough. They're great at MMA in general. But I am going to go, if I need to lean somewhere, I am going to lean on Weidman's experience here and take him on that money line if I absolutely had to. But what I'm actually really looking at here as my main play in this fight is for the fight to go to distance, -125. Again, Omari doesn't really go out there and try to knock guys out or something. He's grappling them. Weidman's going to be welcome to do that as well. State wrestling champ or whatever. And could go either way, but, that go to distance -125 is my main play there. But, do you guys know more about this Russian guy than I do maybe? What do you guys think?
No, the only thing I'd say is Weidman's 1-5 in his last 6. So the one thing I'm going to say is Weidman can still hold his own. He's still tough as shit, which is why I'm going to agree with Zeman. I think Weidman doesn't get finished, but I'm not sure if he wins or loses. I just like the distance as well. So I'm locked in with easy lines.
Yeah, I think something also to keep an eye out here, if it's extended grappling exchanges, Weidman has gotten tired in all of his last 5 fights going into the third round. That's how he got, what was that fight where he got finished? He was winning against, was it Jacare?
Yeah.
Beating Jacare, and then he got tired going into the third and got finished.
That was a striking battle. He was just getting crazy outstruck. I don't know if you guys remember. That was actually a pretty bad, awesome looking knockout. Actually,
it was, but he was pretty dominant. And then he got clearly tired and slowed way down.
He got finished in the third against Romero as well, but
he just got tired but in a striking battle. I think actually maybe there was some grappling. It was a mixed up there, but you're right. Souza was a better man that night. He lost that fight. That's why I'm not touching this one money line as much because fuck these Dagestani guys look tough. But I also won't be surprised if Weidman shows up. Although he is 1-5, it's true. But the guys he's lost to. Luke Rockhold, Yoel Romero, Gegard Mousasi, Ronaldo, Jacare Souza, and Dominic Reyes. We just saw how Dominic Reyes did so against John Jones. He, Weidman was stepping up to. I think that was his first light heavyweight fight. Fights the guy that basically almost took it to John Jones. So he's fought incredible competition. That's why it's kind of hard to call his fights now.
Yeah.
Or like
and his back's against the wall.
Yeah,
He knows this
exactly.
is a must-win fight.
And he said that too. He released a BJ Penn article today about that. He's just got to get a goddamn win, he said. So
Yeah.
So yeah, no, it's gonna again. It's this fight night's kind of sneaky good in terms of some of its matchups. Then especially the next one here, I really like. I'm a fan of Benanil, or I can't even say his name right. Dariush though,
yeah,
minus 175. I really like him. He's fighting Scott Holtzman plus 150. Dariush is on a 4-win streak. Last 3 by finish against Drakkar Klose, which almost was like a fight of the year type candidate. It was a crazy back and forth.
Yep.
Dariush was taking a lot of hard shots, but he took them. I don't know. He got knocked out by Barbosa seemingly easily, like 2 years ago or something, 3 years ago, and now he seems to be able to take shots even better now. So I don't know, but he finished Frank Camacho and Drew Dalver as well. Scott Holtzman, 2-fight win streak right now. Decision wins over Jim Miller. Not that impressive at this point. He did finish Don Ma, but he always loses by decision. I am looking at Dariush minus 175, of course, to win, but that's not the best payoff in terms of kind of the I guess you would say value pick is Dariush by points plus 333. So that's looking really, really good there. I don't believe Holtzman's necessarily going to finish, and Dariush wins by decision there. But yeah, what are you guys thinking?
Yeah, Dariush is the better fighter. That's all it comes down to for me. He's a better fighter, well-rounded. Holtzman can stay in the pocket and he can pound, which is why he ended up beating an older, not less fit, but Jim Miller's past his prime, I think. Even though he won his last fight actually in impressive fashion, his better days are behind him. Jim Miller isn't the type of competition that Beneil Dariush has been fighting. So Dariush is better, and I think he wins as well. I'm not sure how, but money line for sure.
Yeah.
Yeah, I like that call about the fight possibly going the distance. Scott Holtzman, he either wins by TKO or decision, 38% TKO, and Dariush is 47% submission or 35% by decision. So it seems like one guy's going to want to stand, one guy's going to want to take it to ground, likely ground. So I could see it going the distance.
Yeah, and for whatever reason, guys, that's a huge underdog in Vegas's eyes. They're calling for this to be stoppage. So if you want some extra value, you're going to get over 4-1 odds, Dariush by decision. So that could be the play here. I'm going to throw my money on that. That's great return for a favorite
as well.
fighter. Yeah. Yeah, it's kind of funky because Holtzman's only 3.5-1 by decision, yet he's the underdog in the card. That doesn't really add up in my eyes. I guess it's a style that the Vegas odds makers are looking at, but doesn't calculate to me. So there's an edge.
Exactly. Because Holtzman, he's lost 3 UFC fights, and he's lost them all by decision. He doesn't get knocked out, and he even fought Josh Emmett. Josh Emmett fucked up so many people.
Throws bombs,
and he lost his. I mean, now this was a couple of years ago, I guess, but still, like Josh Emmett's been on a run. He's pretty crazy. He lost by decision to Nick Lentz as well by decision. So yeah, no, I think that plus 333 is a little too juicy not to take it. And of course, again, Dariush take that with Lewis. I think you're looking all right. You're looking at pretty much doubling your money there. So if you parlay them or whatever. So that's good for me.
I think they're looking at Dariush. 8 of his last 10 have been finishes, whether that's by win or loss. He's only had two decisions, so that maybe is why they have the high numbers.
Yeah, he's definitely a dangerous guy for sure. Holtzman though, I do believe is a tough enough guy, but hey, If you want to look at something there in terms of the finish, maybe later on. I mean, second or third round plus 550 plus 900 there as well. But yeah, no, it makes sense. You're absolutely right. Dariush is a finisher, or can be a finisher.
Or he gets finished. It's one or the other.
Yeah.
Majority of the time.
Well, Holtzman's certainly not going to finish him. I don't really see that.
Yeah.
But
no, man, I agree with what you guys are saying.
I've been wrong before.
Go decision, but I think that's maybe what the odds makers are looking at.
It's probably why it's so juicy, which Franz is saying.
Yeah, I agree.
Yeah.
Any other undercard ones you're eyeballing there, Z-Balls?
No, actually, I'm pretty good on my end. Those were kind of the top three I was looking at. The main plays there: Weidman and Amari to go to the distance. Lewis by money line, and Dariush as well money line. But Zone, do you have any other picks you're looking at?
Yeah, I have two. One Canadian guy, Gavin Tucker, 11-1. 9 of those 11 wins by finish. Nickname Governor, great nickname. He's 2-1 in the UFC. Lone loss against Rick Glenn, I believe, and that was a horrible fight because he had to take a long time off. That fight should have been stopped way earlier. I do think he wins this weekend money line. Better fighter, he moves way better, and this will put him at 3-1. I truly believe he wins money line. Other one of my favorite fighters, one of my top 5 favorite fighters, Nasrat Haqparast. He lost his last fight to Drew Dober, but has so much upside. He trains with Faraz Zahabi. He's, southpaw, really quick. I actually have him winning by finish on the weekend. I think he gets a
Mini Gastelum.
What's that?
The mini Gastelum.
Mini Gastelum. He looks like Gastelum, smaller weight class, and fights southpaw as well. I have him winning by finish. So Gavin Tucker money line and Nasrat Haqparast by finish.
Like it. Got the Canadian UFC fighters. We're on a bit of a roll, so hopefully Tucker continues that.
And then just to throw in there's this Friday the rematch of Benson Henderson and Michael Chandler, main event fight, Bellator, their second card since COVID. Looking forward to watching that fight as well. Timothy Johnson and Matt Mitrione's the co-main, which could be a good fight too. But looking forward to seeing Benson get back in there against Michael Chandler in a rematch.
Yeah. Honestly, more excited for the Bellator card than the UFC card this weekend.
Really?
Yeah. Crazy to see Henderson almost 3-1 underdogs on that. So could be a nice value play for any gamblers that need some Friday night action. Miles Jury on that card too.
Yeah, against Georgie Karakian, I think.
Yep. Yeah, not too bad for Bellator. So glad to see that back in action. Thank you to all our fans for tuning in to tonight's episode. Like I mentioned earlier, we have 3 guest interviews to get to. So we'll get there now, starting off with TJ, The Truth, Laramie. We'll see you guys next week for episode 9, and enjoy your weekend.
Cheers.
Next up on the Hooks In MMA podcast, we have 11-3 professional fighter out of Windsor. He's fighting on the Dana White Contender Series on August 11th. TJ, The Truth, Laramie. How's it going today, buddy?
Good, man. Just finished a nice training session and ready to relax for the rest of the day.
Yeah, that sounds good. We're looking forward to your fight here in Canada in the next few weeks. It's been a long time coming. I know you're 23, correct?
22.
22. So turning 23 this year, I think. But a lot of upside. We've been watching for a while. You've gone through 14 fights in a kind of a short amount of time. I guess my first question is, what made you decide to go pro right away instead of maybe take a few amateur fights at the start? Some people decide to do 5 amateur fights to start off their career. How come you didn't do that? Just curious.
Well, the thing is with me is that I did amateur sports and combat sports outside. So like I was a North American kickboxing champion. as an amateur. I was a world kickboxing champion as an amateur. I was a world jiu-jitsu champion as a blue belt, world jiu-jitsu champion as a juvenile. And then I was also wrestling. I got 4 nationals for wrestling. And then, so having all that competition experience and all that grappling experience and kickboxing, I did 1 amateur MMA fight, and then I moved right on to pro.
Yeah, and it's worked out for you. I'm always curious because I had Cody Stamen on a few weeks ago, and he had like 23 amateur fights. I'm like, why did you take so many amateur fights before you decided to go pro? Everybody's got their own path, so it's worked out well for you. And obviously, you got a big fight coming up, so that's good. Just curious, what gym you train at, and the coaches that you have.
For this camp, I've been training mainly at Extreme Couture. Back in Windsor, I was training a lot. I train at Tecumseh BJJ, Maximum Training Center, Windsor, and then I also train with Kara Rowe. Kara Rowe is my main coach, my boxing coach. She's actually spending the whole camp with me here in Vegas. Awesome. At Extreme. But yeah, man, without any of those, I couldn't get it done. Especially throughout quarantine, the guys at Tecumseh BJJ really had my back. They made sure I was getting in the work, and I was basically ready for a fight before I even found out about this one.
Yeah, well, you need good people in your corner just in life in general. So it helps even more as a fighter, right? You need to be backed up and trained and prepared for every fight moving forward. So that's really good to hear. Just curious, some of the guys that you train with, I know like we're talking pre-quarantine to right now, who are some guys that push you and make you better each and every day?
Hey, I got tons of guys in my corner that help me out. I got Eric Marintet at Tecumseh BJJ, the head instructor there. I got all the training partners there, my boy Phil, Max, Gabby, everybody there, you know who you are. And then I got everybody at MTC. I got my little brother. I got Reno helping me out. Everybody there. Then I got Kara Rowe, my boxing coach. She really helps a lot. She dedicates all of her time and really gets me better every day and make sure I'm not fucking up. That's the main thing, man. She asks all the time. And then here in Vegas, I got everybody at Extreme. Cody Stamen helps me out a lot. I live with him when I'm out here, so that alone is just, it's hard to repay someone for something like that.
Yeah, and I appreciate you even mentioning him. He was a great guest on our show, and obviously he has gone through a lot the last month or so. So, him taking you in just shows what kind of guy he is, and that's fantastic. So just touch on being the TKO 145 champ. Everybody has their own path, like I said. How did that make you a better fighter, and how did it feel to become a champ in that promotion?
Hey, being the TKO champ was honestly a blessing and a curse at the same time. I say that just because, being as young as I was only 20 when I won the belt. It gave me a lot of hype and spotlight early on in my career that I kind of needed to see and needed to deal with, you know what I mean? Because I really changed, I felt, as a person almost, you know what I mean? When I had that, I was beating guys that were really good, you know what I mean? Maybe I was ready for the next level skill-wise, but mentally and, mature-wise, I wasn't really ready. And that's what that showed me, especially when I lost my TKO belt. And then when I made my made my return and won my PFC 145 belt, I really felt things were different, I came back a lot more humble, a lot more eager to learn, eager to get better every day, and became like a student again. Versus when I was a TKO champ, I kind of felt like I could do no wrong. You know what I mean? I felt like nobody could touch me, which is it's a good attitude to be confident, but it's not a great attitude to be a champion, right? You got to be always looking to get better, and that's what something I was struggling with at the time.
Exactly, and you got to go through a couple bumps in the road, like you did, and at that young age, I mean, like you're in that spotlight and that's great. It got your name out there, but you've come to this point, which is, that's how it was meant to be kind of thing, right? Like,
Exactly.
I was told once by a friend of mine who's a fighter, I can't say myself, but fighting's not a job, it's a lifestyle. So the lifestyle part for me, I think, is the mental part of the game, right? You can be the most skilled fighter in the world, but you got to be mentally strong and stable. And I think you're at that point now and ready to go.
Yeah, 100%, man. You know, like you said, it's a lifestyle. It is a job at the same time, but like that's part of a lifestyle. You know what I mean? You go to work every day. I go to work every day. I go to the gym every day. You know what I mean? So it's like I really had to like find the fun back again in fighting. It wasn't just oh, get ready for a fight. You know what I mean? My life couldn't be like that no more. I couldn't get any better like that, where it was just like I was always like the only time I would really train hard was when I was getting ready for a fight, rather than in between fights. I was just partying and celebrating as much as I could before the next training camp, right? So it's like my whole mentality as far as that has changed, and I've become such a better athlete in the past, not athlete, I should say, just martial artist in the past 6, 7, 8 months, you know what I mean? Especially during the quarantine thing. You know, a lot of people were sitting out moping, and I was out trying to get better my skills, do what I could, you know what I mean? I couldn't get the work I wanted, but I got what I you know what I mean? I developed my skill as best I could.
Yeah. No, I totally understand what you're saying. And I don't want to compare myself. Like I played 4 years of rugby at university, but I understand the age that you were at and wanting to have fun and party. It's just, I think it's natural for everyone at 19 and 20 to want to have a good time. Like it's legal drinking age. It's kind of a natural thing. So I went through some bumps as well. So I get where you're coming from. Dana White Contender Series call. That call came in. What, you know, was that to your manager? Was it to you? How did that come in, and how happy were you to hear about that?
It was awesome, man. It was kind of known beforehand that something was going to come, because the plan was originally, actually, when we were talking to Sean Shelby, was that I was going to fight on the UFC Saskatoon.
Okay.
June 20th. So basically I was going to make my UFC debut, and then obviously Corona hit. So when Corona hit, everything got kind of pushed back, and yeah, that was it basically, you know. And then he said, worst comes to worst, Contender Series in August. But for me, I'm the kind of person, you know what I mean, I don't really believe anything till I see it or till I get a phone call or a contract. Because my whole career, you know, as an athlete, you're told all these things, and more than half, like 80% of the time, they never happen, right? So I was just trucking through, trying to get better every day for the hopes that something was going to come through. And then I got the call. It was almost exactly 8 weeks out when I got the call, so I was able to have a full training camp on top of being already in great shape. So it was really a dream come true.
Yeah, it's awesome. So you're fighting Daniel Swain, correct?
Yep.
Yeah, so you're on a 3-fight winning streak. My last question before we do our last little segment here is basically around, you know, knowing who you're fighting next in advance. How do you prepare for that? Do you watch videos of previous fights that they've had? How do you incorporate that into your training and your development for that next fight?
I'm always someone who likes to watch, because you know what I mean? Like, I don't like to build specific game plans, because as a fighter and as in a fight, you know, everything doesn't really go the way you plan it always. That's like usually not how it goes. So, but you can get the general idea of what kind of style or what kind of opponent you're going to face just based on watching a fight or two. So that's basically what I do. And then it's like, oh, I might focus a little bit more on grappling or a little bit more on striking for this camp based on what I see through his fights, you know what I mean? Or see what kind of fighter he is. Does he have a high fight IQ? Has he gotten better over the years? Is he going to come with something new? You know what I mean? But overall, you never really know, right? So I prepare myself the best I can, and I cut no corners when I train. So so far as specific game plans, I don't really have one of those, but I definitely do keep into account the things that they're better at, for sure.
Yeah, that sounds good to me. Our last segment's called Between Rounds. It's 1 minute. I'm going to ask you a question. There might be 1, 2, or 3 answers. You're just going to kind of rapid fire through it. We good with that?
Okay.
Steak or seafood kind of guy?
Steak.
How do you like your steak cooked?
Medium rare.
Music or sports?
Sports.
Windsor, Toronto,
Sports.
or up north kind of guy?
Windsor.
Fighting or training?
Damn, that's a hard one. Fighting.
Rear naked choke or guillotine choke?
Oh, guillotine all day.
All day, every day. Movies or TV series?
Movies.
Beach or on a boat?
On a boat.
Grappling or striking?
Grappling.
Knockout or submission?
Submission.
Who wins now in their prime? GSP or Anderson Silva?
In their prime, Anderson. Now GSP.
Yeah, agreed. GSP or Khabib?
Khabib.
And in a rematch, Alex Morgan or TJ Laramie?
TJ Laramie.
And last one, Daniel Swain or TJ Laramie?
TJ Laramie.
Absolutely. Couldn't agree more. Any sponsors or shout outs to finish up here?
I'd like to shout out to my sponsors, IBW, Liuna. Okay, sorry, one second. IBW, Liuna, Canadian Protein, Takedown Distribution, Motor City Community Credit Union, everybody at MTC, everybody at Tecumseh Jiu-Jitsu, everybody who's been helping me train for this fight at Extreme, Caro, Reno Belcastro, Alex Caparici. You guys can see all my tweets and updates at Laramie TJ on Twitter or at TJ Laramie on Instagram.
Awesome. At Hooks In MMA, we're really excited. Dana White Contender Series, August 11th. TJ The Truth Laramie, thank you for coming on, man, and good luck. We'll make us proud here in Canada.
Yes, sir, man. Thank you.
Good luck, man. Take care. Thanks.
Take it easy.
Next up on the Hooks In MMA podcast, we have 7-2 professional fighter, currently living in Niagara Falls, born in Tillsonburg, Ontario. Aaron Jeffery, how's it going today, buddy?
I'm good, man. How are you?
Good, thanks. Glad to have you on. Appreciate your time. Just looking back, at when you got started, you had an 8-1 amateur record. What made you decide to start mixed martial arts being an amateur first, and then how did it progress for you to decide to go professional?
So originally, like I was just telling you earlier, I have an older brother, and growing up, he was watching UFC with his buddies and stuff, and I kind of started watching with him and got into it. And we found like a little small jiu-jitsu and kickboxing gym in Tillsonburg. And that's where I first started training. Like, it was nothing serious, like hitting pads and like going around with like some other white belts and stuff. And then when I moved away to Brock University for school, it's like a bigger city, so I found a decent gym here and started training. And after like a year of training, the coach asked me if I wanted to fight, and I had never even considered it. But I took a fight and loved it and stuck with it.
Awesome. So at Brock, what did you take, and did you wrestle there, or was it just you kind of veered off, like off campus and trained at a different place?
Yeah, so I took medical sciences at Brock, and no, I didn't wrestle actually. And honestly, I always say that's like, it's probably the biggest regret in my life, like not even just in fighting, but my whole life. We were at a jiu-jitsu gym, and a bunch of our guys had been beaten like in amateur fights by wrestlers. So we always hated on wrestlers. So
yeah,
rather than us trying to join a wrestling team and get good at it, we just like shunned it completely. So no, I never wrestled while I went to Brock. I think I started wrestling with the team like the year that I actually graduated.
Yeah, it's interesting because like I played 4 years of rugby at Brock, and I'd walk down the stairs, and there'd be a wrestling gym on the left there. It's probably changed now, I don't know, but I'd walk into the athletic center, and I see these guys rolling around. And I was like, oh, that kind of piques my interest too. But like, I'm already playing a sport and never wanted to do that to switch over. But Brock's obviously known for their wrestling program. So
I know, and they're like the best in Canada. I can't believe 4 years that I didn't join that team. What a mistake.
That's all right though. You've paved your own way. So
yeah.
Who are your current coaches, and for each discipline, what are they specializing for you in your training?
Yeah. So like speaking about Brock, I actually live with the assistant coach, Chris Prickett. I've been living with him for like a year and a half now. So I get in lots of like one-on-one work with him. So I feel like I'm catching up on all that missed time in the wrestling room by living with him now, so that's good.
Yeah.
So I have him, Lyndon Whitlock. He's like my head coach and my striking coach. And then I have Rory McDonald is my jiu-jitsu coach, and him and Lyndon are the owners at Parabellum MMA.
Yeah, so that's a solid group in your corner. I went to high school with
Sure.
Lyndon.
Oh,
and,
no way.
And with Josh Hill as well. And then
Nice.
Chris Prickett, I don't know him, but do you know Gavin Hessen?
Not sure.
Yeah, so he says he's very, very high on Chris as a coach. So,
Oh, yeah?
you know, that's 3 good guys in your corner for sure. Yeah, so just to go back, like, how was your experience at Brock? I only asked because I went there too, and just curious on how that went.
It was like, as far as schooling goes, I wasn't like super pumped about it. Like, I felt like, I don't know, it's probably the same with a lot of universities. They're just kind of like money making machines.
Yeah.
Like, classes were way too full. Teachers didn't give a shit about you. They kind of wanted you like in and out. Like, everything cost so much money. So I didn't love it like for the schooling as much, but like, I had a great time while I was there. I had like probably 10 or 15 buddies from high school that all went to Brock or Niagara.
Yeah.
Lived with a house full of guys, and there was a few other houses that were nearby. So it was pretty ruckus for sure.
Yeah. Yeah. I think there's some good and bad. Like, the bad is what you talked about, really expensive. Like, I'm personally still paying off all my debts.
Yeah,
I still got a little ways to go, which sucks when you look back at that. But then, you know, you learn to live on your own and fend for yourself, and you know, hang out with your buddies, and those are times you can never get back. So
exactly.
Yeah, so you got the call for Dana White Contender Series. I was pumped to watch that fight. You know, did they basically just call your manager and say, you know, you're an up and coming, very good prospect we want to give a shot to, and then that's how they lined you up? Or
I think so. Like, I don't hear those kind of conversations, but yeah, one day my manager just called me. It was actually shortly after I signed with him, Dodge Sports.
Okay.
He called me up one day after work and told me that I was on Contender Series, and yeah, obviously I was super pumped about that.
Yeah, so I mean, I watched the fight. I'm sure you could probably speak, you know, that wasn't either your best performance or didn't go as how you planned. But I mean, the guy you fought was also, you know, he's fought twice as much as you, twice as many fights. He's currently now, including your fight, 4-0 in the UFC. So it wasn't just some guy you lost to. The guy is actually legit. So I guess just what did you take away from that fight? And, you know, you won your next fight after that, and you got one coming up we'll talk about in a second. What are you bringing forward to the next one here?
Well, learning from that fight, like, it kind of sounds weird to say, and I feel like people might not believe it because I kind of got fucking my ass kicked pretty quickly in that fight. But like, until I got kneed in the face and knocked out and then choked out, I felt like I was hanging with him pretty good. Like, I felt his strength and I felt his striking. And I feel like I can be in there with those kind of guys, and like seeing him like run through people in the UFC right now is kind of like, it feels good to know that I was in there with him and he ran through me, obviously. But like I said, I felt like I deserved to be in there with him for sure.
Yeah, and there's a ton of different styles, right? Like, someone could win 5 in a row, but then face a guy that's got a different style that doesn't work well against how they fight, right? So you can always kind of stack it up and say, you know, maybe it didn't go well with him, but I can tell based on your skill set. I've seen a few of your fights, like you belong in there, and it's only a matter of time. It's, you know, 1 fight away or 2 fights away at the most, but you got a ton of skill, man. And we can see you being there, you know, within the year. So
I hope so.
Yeah. Yeah. So just about the upcoming fight news, you know, I saw you posted something. I think I asked you as well. So what promotion and who are you fighting?
Yeah, so it's for SFT. I guess they're the biggest promotion in Brazil right now, and they're doing their first show in the States. And I'm fighting Bruno Assis. He's another Contender Series guy. He fought Contender Series 2 years ago, I think. He lost his fight too.
Okay.
He's got a 9-4 record, so pretty good record. Jiu-Jitsu black belt, like kind of a bigger name guy on like the local scene in Brazil. So yeah, it's a tough fight, but I think it's a good fight for me. Yeah,
and when like I follow a lot of this stuff with, like, you know, especially Canadians, but like who they fought, who they're going to fight next, all that stuff. I think, you know, it's really good that you're fighting a guy that also was called to the Contender Series. It's very smart because now you're matching each other up. We expect you to win. I think you know you're going to win, and then that that shows that you've beaten someone that was also called to the show. So you're like stacking it up smartly to get to where you want to be, right?
Exactly. Yeah, I agree 100%.
Okay, last section here. So it's called Between Rounds. So we got a minute. I'm going to ask you a question. It's going to be 1 or 2 or maybe 3 answers, and you just give your best answer.
Okay.
Good to go?
Yeah, let's do it.
Steak or a seafood kind of guy?
Steak.
How do you like your steak made?
Rare.
Nice. Music or sports?
Music or sports? That's tough, actually. Sports.
Because you had to hesitate, what's your favorite kind of music?
I listen to a lot of stuff, but I'd say punk rock.
Nice. Tillsonburg, Toronto, or Hamilton as a city?
Tillsonburg, 100%.
Fighting or training?
Fighting or training? Fighting. I don't get to do it very much, apparently.
Yeah, no kidding. Rear naked choke or armbar, if you had to pull one off?
Choke, for sure.
Beach or a boat guy?
Beach.
Grappling or striking?
Grappling.
If you're going to finish somebody, it's by knockout or submission?
TKO.
Who wins now in their prime, GSP or Anderson Silva?
In their prime. Probably George.
GSP or Khabib?
Ooh, that's a tough one. In their prime. I'll say George.
Rematch between Sean Brady or Aaron Jeffery?
Aaron Jeffery.
You can't hesitate on that.
I
Brendan,
like him though. He's a good guy.
Is he?
Yeah.
Brendan Allen or Aaron Jeffery in a rematch?
Aaron Jeffery.
Absolutely. And anyone in I'm assuming the middleweight division in Canada?
Yeah, I don't think there's very many of us either, eh?
So that's an easy answer too, right?
I think, I don't know, some weird guys on Tapology that I've never heard of, but I think I'm like pretty close to the top of the list.
Yeah, we would all agree with that, I think. Just to finish off, any sponsors or shout outs?
Just shout out to my manager for hooking up this fight for me. Friends, family, girlfriend, everyone that's kind of supporting me along the way. Really appreciate everyone. Thanks to you for having me on too. Really appreciate that.
Yeah, and the date that fight is, just to confirm for the viewers.
Yeah, it's August 13th, and it's going to be streamed on fight.tv. There will be a pay-per-view there.
August 13th, fight.tv. Excited to watch Eric. What's that?
It's a Thursday.
It's a Thursday. Perfect time to come home, have a beer, and watch a fight. Good luck to you, buddy. We know you're going to win. That'll only propel you to something greater. I think we both know that. And thank you for coming on. This is Aaron Jeffery, and this is Hooks In MMA. Thank you.
Awesome. Thanks, man.
No problem. Thank you. Next up on the Hooks In MMA podcast, we have 4-0 professional fighter. Fights August 13th. Really excited for her fight. Jasmine Jasudavicius.
Perfect.
How's it going today?
I'm good. How about you?
Good, thank you. So you got the big fight coming up. You just finished training. How's things going?
It was good. Did my last hard rounds today. I'm tapering, so I only did three hard rounds, and then my coach cut me, and now we're just waiting. They will have like a little bit of fine tuning, but all the hard work's done. Finally, feels good.
Yeah, no kidding. Your last name, I was just curious. What background is that?
Lithuanian.
Yeah, that was my guess. I thought so too. My wife has a friend, Sinkevicius, her last name is, and that's Lithuanian too.
Oh, really?
Yeah.
Nice.
So when did you first take an interest in MMA, and then, how did it sprout from there? Was there a discipline like wrestling or striking or whatever that started it out, and then how did it kind of evolve from there?
So it's actually funny. I didn't really do anything before. Like I played soccer, basketball, volleyball, all that kind of shit. But I was like with Chris Prickett, and he was like going out to PEI to help Jason with his like UFC fight, and he's like cornering him. So he's like, "Oh yeah, you want to come to PEI?" And I'm like, "All right, sweet. Like I like seafood. Why not?"
Yeah.
And then when we were there, then I was like watching there in the gym, obviously a lot. And then I was like, I'm like, you know what, this actually looks sick. Like maybe can I try? And they're like, you're not just gonna spar. You can't just jump right into that. But then after practice, Jason's like, oh, I'll do some moving around with her. And then like I was trying my hardest. He was just playing. And then he's like, you have like a bit of natural ability. Like if you start training, you might actually be able to make a run for this. And then I was like, oh, okay, like that's nice of him to say. But I didn't really put too much thought into it. And then we actually went to the event, and it was like UFC Ottawa. And I was like saw the atmosphere and everything. I was like, this is actually sick. Like, this is crazy. So then I like started to train. It's actually funny. I was with my girlfriend, and she's like, I was like, I think I might make a run at this. And she's like, yeah, okay, Jazz, like you make it into the UFC, then I'll get your face tattooed on my ass. And then like I started training when I got back, and now it's just like a known thing. Like she's like, fuck, like I'm gonna have to get this tattoo and everything. Like it's just built into such a crazy thing now.
Yeah, and the way things are going, either one more win or maybe two at the most, I think, and she's gonna have to get that tattoo. So I'm looking forward to seeing that picture, actually.
Yeah, me too.
That's awesome. So where are you training currently, and then who's in your corner? I know you mentioned Chris Prickett, and so was a couple other gentlemen, Anthony Romero and Aaron Jeffery as well.
Yeah, so I train out of Niagara Top Team and Parabellum, like when I can. Obviously, with this whole COVID thing, like it's just opening back up. But for this fight, I have Chris Prickett and Matt DiMarcantonio in my corner. Both me and Aaron are fighting on the same night, so we had to kind of divide up the coaches, but in different. Like he's in Florida and I'm in Philly.
Yeah, I was going to say that. I checked on Tapology. It's not the same card. It's not the same location. No. So yeah, how did you figure out who's going to go with who?
I'm not exact. Oh, sorry.
That's okay.
I kind of just took the guys. Like I'm just like I'm going to take Chris, and then we didn't really like discuss it. I guess it was just like that's who's going with who kind of thing.
Yeah, I ask on the spot because if you think about some of the actual, like, the gyms in the States, if it's, I don't know, Team Alpha Male and whatever in Albuquerque, New Mexico, I wonder if, on the same on the same date, like you said, but on separate cards, how they even would decide that. That's actually, kind of interesting to me how that would work. But,
yeah, I think it's kind of just who you're working with more prior to like getting the fight. That's I guess kind of how we did it.
Sense. Yeah.
Yeah.
Cool. So you are from St. Like, were you born in St. Catharines or?
Yeah. Born and raised in St. Catharines.
What school did you go to growing up?
I went to St. Catharines Collegiate.
Okay. And then
it's like downtown.
And then after, what did you pursue? Did you work some jobs and then now you found fighting, or?
Yeah. So, I went to Niagara College after, and like Conestoga. I was like initially going to school for policing, and I was working at a youth homeless shelter. I actually worked there for like, I think almost 9 years.
Okay.
And then once I started fighting, then I went down to just doing relief staff. So anytime someone like needed a day off or something, I'd like pick up a shift. But then once I like decided to go professional, then I had to quit because it's like sometimes I was doing like a midnight shift, and then I'd get off at 6 a.m. and then it's like hard to get into training and everything. So I had to make a decision. And but I mean, I still try to like drop off food there and clothes and everything, like help out whenever I can. It's like, it's a really good shelter, and I like the people that work there care so much. So it's really nice to be able to help like the little bit that I can.
Yeah, exactly. And it sounds like that had an impact on you because you're, not currently there, but still helping out. So that's good to hear. I only ask about that because I went to Brock myself, and I lived in Thorold for a while and lived the St. Catharines life for a little bit, usually on Fridays and Saturdays. So
Oh yeah, those are good bars, man. Deontay Catherine's so much fun.
Oh yeah, I'll never forget that.
Were you able to go to Port Dalhousie, or was it already shut by then?
I 1000% got to go to Port Dalhousie, and
man, I feel bad for like the kids that grew up like seeing it, but then it was gone for them.
They'll never know what they missed, right? Like my cottage and all those places.
Yeah.
So three out of your 4 professional wins are by finish. So just, curious, if you do a percentage, I didn't go to school for math, but that's 75% of your fights are by finish. So, what's your style for the listeners that are an average fan that are going to get to know Jasmine soon when she's in the UFC in a couple fights? And, how do you go about, when you're fighting somebody, how do you attack that? Do you look for openings? Do you start off really aggressive? What's like your fight style?
I'm a pretty aggressive fighter. I'm always looking for the finish. I mean, like, I don't get paid by the hour, so I like to get in there and get that finish. And obviously it's like exhilarating. I feel like anytime like you take away the time from them, it kind of like adds on to your life for some reason. I don't know. I got this whole theory behind it.
I like that.
Yeah. But yeah, I mean, I think I have a pretty exciting style. Like I don't like stand around and wait too much. I'm pretty aggressive, and yeah, I like the clinch, and I don't know. I let the fight kind of go where it wants. If it's like stay standing, then I'm happy with that. Or if I want to get a submission, then I'm happy doing that as well. But yeah, I'm always looking for the finish, regardless if it's whatever, punches, knees, elbows, submission, anything. Doesn't matter. I want that finish. I don't want to go in the distance.
No, and these days that's the way you make your money, right? You make your bank. I can see. I've watched your fights, and I can see a lot of things that translate to the UFC, and a lot of things that translate to potentially 50K bonus nights. So we're hoping that happens for you.
Oh, thank you. I hope so too. Yeah. Pay off my car.
Yeah, no kidding. Yeah, so Cage Fury FC. So I think you fought once there before, or was it more than once?
Yeah, no, just one time prior. My last fight.
Your last fight. Yeah. So obviously they wanted to welcome you back with that performance, and you face Elise Reed on August 13th. We're really looking forward to that. I personally I believe I know a lot about fighters and a lot about their backgrounds and stuff, but I really don't know a lot about her. How about you?
I don't know too much. I've seen a couple of her fights, but honestly, whenever I get a name, then I'll watch their fights, whatever I can find, like once, and I leave it up to my coaches. Like, honestly, I trust them 100%. So they just make my camp, whatever it is, like they don't tell me like, oh, watch for this, watch for that kind of thing. They just kind of like groom me in like a way to almost like figure it out myself.
Yep. Yeah.
Does that make sense?
Yeah. To mitigate what they do and to dominate what you have better than them. Right.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah. So they're really good at like kind of letting me be free in the fight, but they're the ones kind of like playing the game behind it,
Yeah, but I think that's how it should be, and I agree. And I've talked to many people about that, and they kind of say the same thing, right? Like the coaches, the people that are in your corner should actually be doing more of the research of that fighter, and then basing the game plan around what you're gonna do in the fight. That you're better than them, but letting you be free is the big thing, right? Because you don't want to just stick to strict structure, because I'm sure in fights that's not how it goes.
Yeah, and too, it's like if you're watching your opponents, like say that they've like knocked people out with like an overhand or something, then it's like you're scared about that overhand, and it's like when you're striking scared, that's when you're going to get fucked up. It's like you're going to get hit with that overhand because you're scared about that overhand. So
exactly. Yeah, and then probably hesitating and maybe not fighting your fight too, right? And then before you know it, the 15 minutes is up. Just to double check though, it is a strawweight title fight. Is it 15 or is it 25?
No, it's 15.
Okay.
But they're doing pound allowance, so 116, which is nice for me.
All right.
Yeah.
Just curious, do you have any family? Do you have any hobbies? I know we talked a little bit before.
Yeah, so my family, they all live in St. Catharines too, which is nice. I have an older brother and a younger sister. I'm the one in the middle, the wily one, I guess.
One to watch out for.
Yeah. But yeah, my hobbies, honestly, I pretty much fighting is my main thing. Like when I'm not in the gym, I'm like watching fighting or watching technique or anything. But other than that, I would say like I cook a lot. And it's funny because when I'm dieting down to make weight, because like I'm obviously a bit bigger than 115, so I gotta diet a bit, but it's like forced me to kind of explore cooking a lot more. So it's like just using like different things in replacement to like some like high calorie stuff. So like for example, like sour cream, like Lithuanian, I'm gonna be eating a lot of sour cream. So instead of like I'm using like Greek yogurt or like something like that. So yeah, I really like dove into cooking and then been exploring that. It's been pretty sweet. And actually, since this COVID thing, I've been trying that Kundalini yoga, which has been cool.
Yeah, I heard about that. You like that?
Yeah, I don't do like the intense one because I'm like, I get enough work at practice. Like it's too much. But like the breathing stuff, I really like that. Like I kind of made up this little like morning routine that I do where it's like movement with like the breath, like it's like breathe in this way and out this way kind of thing as I'm like turning my shoulders or like my hips and stuff like that. And I feel like it just kind of like releases all the little like tweaks in your body and stuff like that. It's like a 10-minute 15-minute thing, and it makes you feel good. I actually recommend it.
Well, it's funny. Sorry, go ahead.
Continue.
No, you go ahead.
That apparently you can get like a DMT style like trip off of it doing the breathing stuff. I haven't experienced it, but I'm trying every morning.
Yeah, so I was gonna say after your fight, I don't want to take any more time up, but I might have to reach back out because sometimes I feel throughout a day it's like an hour goes by and I don't even remember breathing in that hour. So I might have to reach back out and ask you how you did that.
For sure, yeah.
Okay, last segment between rounds. So we got a minute here, and I'm going to ask you a question. It might be a couple answers. Just give your best answer. You good for that?
Sounds good. Yeah.
Would you prefer a vegan meal or a meat-filled meal?
Meat, for sure.
Favorite kind of meat?
Steak. I like seafood, though, a lot. So, but
that's also funny because that was my next question. Are you a seafood or a steak fan? Surf and turf?
Yeah, if I could have both, honestly, it'd be
What's your
if
favorite seafood?
Crab or lobster. Like the lobster claw is better than the tail.
Yeah,
but I really like crab.
I had lobster last night, so I'm
you're
on the lobster train. What's your favorite meal at home to cook?
To cook, I don't know. I like experimenting with like new things, but I've been cooking a lot of like pasta sauces lately, actually with like some seafoods.
Okay.
And like trying that stuff out, but I don't know. I like cooking new things, like trying new things. Like there's a place that's not too far that has all like exotic meats. Cool. And so I'll like go there and like get whatever like ostrich or something like that, and I'm like, I'm gonna try cooking this up.
Yeah, seafood linguine is up there for me. It's a top 3 or top 5.
Oh yeah.
Camping or hotel? What's better for you?
Camping.
The actual fight, 15 minutes or less, or vacation afterwards?
That's tough. Oh, I don't know. Probably the fight,
Okay.
but the party's good.
The party is good. The training or the fighting?
The fighting.
Yeah, I thought so.
Yeah.
Favorite genre of movies? So like action, comedy, horror.
Probably comedy.
And favorite movie of all time? You could be a comedy.
But my favorite movie is Fight Club.
Okay. Brad Pitt?
Yeah. Yeah. Edward Norton's my favorite actor. Him and Denzel Washington are my two favorite actors.
They're up there for me too.
Yeah.
Do you watch UFC?
Of course.
I thought so. So who's your favorite male and who's your favorite female fighter?
Gaethje is my favorite male. And I actually really like Peter Yan. He's been getting up there. I really like him, but still Gaethje's still my favorite. And female, probably, I don't know. Me. No.
Oh, I'm good with that. That's fine.
Yeah.
Cormier or Miocic 3, who do you think wins that fight in 10 days?
I'm gonna have to go Cormier. I think he's just that wrestling grind. I like Cormier. He's a good dude.
Yeah, me too. Really good dude. I even think potentially he could take over for Dana eventually, but we'll see what happens. Who wins August 13th and how? I know you're just thinking about the how right now, by the way.
Yeah, I definitely win August 13th. And how? I think it'll be, I don't know. I don't really know what she likes to do. We'll see. It'll be a finish. So I don't know if it'll be like submission, TKO, maybe knockout.
Wherever the fight goes, right?
Yeah, we'll see what she gives me.
Sounds good to us. Any shout outs or sponsors to finish off?
Yeah, obviously, like, thank all my sponsors. They're amazing. And shout out to my gym, Niagara Top Team, Parabellum MMA, my coaches. And thank you very much for having me.
Yeah, we really, really appreciated you coming on. August 13th, big fight coming up. Going to put her to 5-0, 4 finishes out of the 5 as well. Going to get that call soon to the UFC. We can't wait to watch you moving forward. Good luck in your fight. This is Jasmine Jasudavicius, and this is Hooks in MMA. Thank you
so much.
Thank you.
Falling in and out of love, in and out of love with you. Falling in and out of love, in and out of love with you. Falling in and out of love, in and out of love with you. Falling in and out of love, yeah.